Alright Exile, so after the live stream yesterday, I spent the better part of the last couple of hours just going over all the information, replaying all of it, specifically the Ascendancies, and in today's video I want to talk to you guys about my 3 Ascendancies that I'm most looking forward to in Path of Exile 2. We're going to have a total of essentially 12 classes to be able to try, and these 3 specifically, at least to me, feels like they're going to be the most interesting, the most fun, or some of the Ascendancies that I think a lot of players actually may enjoy. And yeah, let's dive into my 3 top Ascendancies for Path of Exile 2. So starting this thing off, I want to talk about the Gemling Legionaire. This one came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting the mercenary to have such a variety in terms of his Ascendancies. I kind of fully expected his approach to be very dex focused, but the team did say that they were going to be putting a lot more effort into making them being a little bit different, and this one definitely stands out. Even the Witch Hunter, for example, does actually stand out too. But for me personally, the Gemling Legionaire looks absolutely broken. Initially, when I looked at it, I thought that it was going to be pretty mediocre. I was kind of taken aback because some of the Ascendancy nodes look kind of simple and to some degree kind of boring, I guess, and you could probably even argue that it does look a little bit boring when you look at the Ascendancy nodes. But one thing I've learned in Path of Exile 1 is stat stacking, auras, and just getting extra power on your gems always result in a character being pretty damn overtuned. So from what we saw from the actual showcase, we saw integrated efficiency. This one's going to grant you 3 additional skill slots. Now, from what I believe is going to happen is they're going to give us more skill slots in addition to the 9 base. I believe it's 9 base that we have access to, and then we're going to be able to build supports off of that. And for me, this is the one that's kind of a question mark on his entire kit so far, because if you actually played Path of Exile 1, you'll know that in a lot of cases you tend to playing basically one skill. You know, you have all your auras, your buffs, and things like that. And I know Path of Exile 2 is taking a much more different approach to this like whole playstyle, but I think the thing is, I don't feel like, at least currently as someone who hasn't really played the game, I don't get the feeling like I'm gonna need this many skill slots. And that's kind of where my mind is kind of at right now. Personally, when I look at a lot of the footage, I feel like there's a lot of skills that are interchangeable and unnecessary. But again, this is coming from a perspective of a player who hasn't like played it at all. So of course I don't really know 100% if we're going to be taking advantage of all those skill slots or if they're just kind of showcasing a lot of skills, because you know it's not uncommon for like teams to do that. Whatever the case is, if it's actually powerful, that's going to be great, because having additional skill slots is going to give significantly more power. Now, where the class actually shines to me, in my opinion, is the adaptive capabilities. Having no attribute requirement, I mean, it is an attribute requirement, but it's going to be based off of your highest stat. Essentially, since you're not going to have an attribute requirement to use maybe the intelligence gems or the strength gems, I think what's going to be pretty damn powerful is stat stacking with this specific ascendancy. If you know Path of Exile 1, stat stacking gets pretty damn powerful, and having the ability to be able to put any gem in your gear or into your character is actually going to be pretty damn big. Now, add in addition the thaumaturgical infusion, have the max resistances, and having all those gems being able to just be slotted freely, I think you actually have a recipe for a class that may be a little bit more on the boring side in terms of like what his ascendancy brings to the table, but you'll be very powerful. You'll be able to stack stats since intelligence and strength doesn't really matter. I'm assuming this is going to be maybe a dex stacker. And in addition to crystalline potential, which is going to give 12 quality to all skill gems, my plan personally, at least with this class, is I'm going to see skills that may work for me. I don't know what skill I'm going to run with, but I'm going to have as many gems as humanly possible. I want to get as much spirit as humanly possible. I want to get as many auras. I'm not sure how the auras work in this game. I mean, I know how it works, but I don't know how it works, if you know what I mean. And I just want to make this like insane stacking character that has insane quality on gems, because you're going to have what, 9 plus 3 slots, and they all can have up to 4 supports on them. You're going to have a ton of high quality gems, and I'm assuming because crystalline potential doesn't necessarily say or we don't know a limitation on the quality, I'm going to run around with a bunch of, 32 quality gems at the minimum, just absolutely decimating with high stats, probably really good auras, and just dealing tons of damage, ton of resistances. I think for me personally, that sounds pretty damn awesome. Maybe I have a rogue impression of what this class is, but to me, when I look at the Gemling Legionaire, it looks pretty damn powerful. I think the attribute and the stat stacking is going to be insane on this class. Now the other ascendancy that kind of stuck out to me, and I really didn't see myself like even considering a caster, and that was the Blood Mage. Personally, to me, I know the other one looks really cool, the The fire one, I forget her name, is a weird name, start with an I. But this one stands out to me specifically. I'm a player who really enjoys health stacking and being very defensive. In the way that the Blood Mage seems to be designed, it feels like it's going to be this super tanky witch that runs around with a ton of HP and just deals tons of damage. One thing I find to be very overtuned in Path of Exile is always whenever you can scale your offense based on your defense. And to me, whenever you look at the Blood Mage being able to stack crit, she's probably going to be picking up a ton of power charges. You're going to be hard to kill, and some of the things that were said on the Ascendancy tree didn't necessarily say that it was going to remove things. Things weren't converted, so I feel like she's going to have really good armor. I think she's going to have a ton of HP and a ton of energy shield, and then she's going to be critting like a monster while also being insanely defensive. Again, I'm not a caster main. I don't really play casters that often, so this will probably be like my third choice when it comes to the 3 that I will pick. I'm curious to see how this worked. This one surprised me heavily. I get the feeling the Blood Mage is going to be pretty damn OP, especially if like Captain Lance or something get his hands on it. I can see like some crazy builds come out of this. Now finally and last, you guys know I have a ton of warrior roots on this channel. I play a lot of the tankier melee guys. That's always going to be something I really love. I play the bard pretty heavy in Diablo 4. I play the chieftain as well as the glad in Path of Exile 1, and so obviously I have a massive root in those two. I think I have more like chieftains than I do any caster class combined in Path of Exile 1. So, you know, I really love, I mean, you can play chieftain caster to some degree, but anyway, you know what I mean. I play a lot of like the melee focused class, and so Titan is a massive appeal to me, especially seeing that he seems to be very slam focused, and I don't think that's something you see a lot of in Path of Exile 1. You get that pretty good with the chieftain, but I feel like this is like a whole nother level of leaning into slams. He's pretty simplistic. I know he doesn't seem like his skills are that crazy. Crushing impact, it's gonna make it easier for you to stun if I'm not mistaken. That's what crushing blows does. That's not like super interesting, but considering you're gonna be just slamming the entire screen and blowing things up, that's pretty damn awesome to me. Like big slams are always awesome to me. Also, Earthbreaker, you're gonna have like a residual aftershock on it as well. That's gonna make, you know, deal a lot more damage whenever they're stunned. I think it's called Surprising Strength. Is gonna give them more damage, like 40% more damage against heavy stun enemies. That is pretty damn insane. Like that's a pretty big damage increase. I'm not sure how easy it is going to be able to like stun them, but if it is as easy as I'm assuming it's going to be with what I'm seeing, you know, in the previews, I think that's going to be pretty damn badass. We unfortunately didn't get to see much of his ascendancy. For some reason, they didn't show the Titan or the other guy, the Warcry guy, very often at all, which was a little disappointing. They gave Mage a ton of like showtime, but Titan stands out to me pretty heavily. I think it's gonna do really well, and of course it's just slams, man. Like you gotta love slams. Anyway guys, that's gonna be my rant for this video. I would love to know what ascendancies you're most looking forward to. Of course, these 3 ascendancies are gonna be the primary ascendancies I play first, leading with the Gemling Legionaire. I think he's going to be absolutely broken. I know people really love Merc, so I think that's going to be a great class to lead with anyway. But yeah, I'm genuinely curious to see exactly what ascendancies you guys want to play. Thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to like as well as sub. That helps me out a lot. Check out the giveaways on the Discord as well as the Twitch channel. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video very soon, Exiles.